Welcome to Business Chat with Debbie, where we talk big stories with small businesses. I'm your host, Debbie Wolverton, and today I've got the wonderful Simon Blamey in from Cornwall Mobility. So we know each other now because obviously you were looking for an accountant and
Absolutely.
Up you popped.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? I can honestly say I'd never heard of Cornwall Mobility before we got chatting.
Yeah.
But I realise now what an important role you actually play in Cornwall, especially with us having such a larger aged population and what you actually do. So I mentioned the C word in an earlier podcast, and I can imagine COVID had an absolute just decimated your business and your charity.
Yeah, it did. I mean, COVID was really, really challenging for us. As you might imagine, most of our clients would classify themselves as vulnerable. So their sort of propensity to leave their home and come out into the community, come and utilise our services was absolutely negligible.
Yeah.
We furloughed all of the staff during the period, the first two lockdown periods. In lockdown 3, we were able to open up a small part of our offering.
Yeah.
That's sort of focused around the mobility equipment that we provide and the assessments we provide for that mobility equipment. But again, the clients were not inclined to come and visit us.
No, and there's still the same though. There's quite a lot there who are struggling to feel confident enough to come out.
Yeah, and even if we did get an appointment booked in for individuals, I think as it got closer to the point, either they suffered from some illness and they weren't able to come, or they were still concerned about leaving their house, and we suffered a huge number of cancellations. Yeah. And obviously when you're paying staff to be there and you're paying for the building, absolutely. Yeah. So it was a really challenging period. I mean, we did make use of both the central government and local government support schemes that were available at that time. Yeah. And that certainly did help.
Yeah, that helped so many businesses.
But it was a really difficult period.
Yeah, and obviously out of that, I know we've chatted around away from here, but out of that, you now got your recruitment issues as well, haven't you?
Absolutely, particularly around our clinical element of our workforce. So I know we haven't come on to the services we provide, but most of the assessments that we provide that are related to driving, we have both approved driving instructors and clinicians who undertake the process. You know, there's a visual test, there's a cognitive element, there's an on-the-road drive. And in order to qualify for the support funding that we get from the Department for Transport, we have to have both elements undertaking the assessment. Yeah. And the fact that we can't recruit clinicians at the moment means that we're employing approved driving instructors. They're trying to do as much work as they practically can whilst complying with the requirements of our funders. But we're not operating at the levels that we need to do in terms of productivity and efficiency. Yeah. And, we've tried to recruit occupational therapists, physiotherapists, paramedics, CPNs, but they're either so busy within the NHS or they're no longer working. I'm not quite sure where they are.
I know all these people just seem to have dropped off the labour market, haven't they? In all different, in hospitality and everything else, and the health, they just seem to have dropped off. And I'm like, where have all these people gone?
I don't know. I mean, although we are an independent entity, Cornwall Mobility, based in Truro, satellite site in Plymouth, and also in Exeter, and we also offer a small service from Launceston. We, as I said, we are independent, but we sit under an umbrella called Driving Mobility. Yeah. So there's 17 organisations like us across the country. Some are charities like us. Some are embedded as part and parcel of the NHS, for instance. And many of them are suffering with exactly the same recruitment issues. So, really, really difficult.
Yeah, I just don't know where all these people have gone. No. I can understand the hospitality sector because obviously went through Brexit and quite a lot of them went home. But these sort of specialist areas, I just do not know where the people have gone.
Answers on a postcard, please. Where are they?
Yeah, we need you. So can you just explain to obviously people who are watching and listening what services you actually offer?
Yeah, well, there's a range of services, and when you gather them together, it's a holistic offer for our client base. So if I start with our driving department, so we undertake driving assessments for people who are referred to us or people who self-refer. Yeah. It may be that they've got a condition or they've recently suffered a condition. Maybe they've got a disability and they want to learn to drive. It might be they suffered a stroke and are recovering from stroke. So we undertake a driving assessment for those individuals to determine whether or not they are safe to continue driving on the road. And we like to see a positive outcome from that process. We'd like to be able to tell people that they are able to continue to drive safely. Sometimes we're not able to give them that good news, unfortunately. And within a rural county such as Cornwall, that becomes a real challenge in terms of people being able to maintain their independence. And maybe I'll come on to that a little bit more in a moment. In addition to the driving assessments, we undertake adaptations assessments. So somebody who needs adaptations fitted to their vehicle to enable them to drive or learn to drive or to continue to drive, we can undertake an assessment, determine the most appropriate adaptation, and then we can actually fit it within a workshop that we've got on site. So, that's sort of journey end to end in terms of that element of our provision. There may be passengers who are also finding it difficult to get in and out of a vehicle. So again, we can undertake an assessment to ascertain if there's any support mechanism that could be put in place to help facilitate that. Also, our team will undertake hoist assessments. So somebody who's got a mobility scooter, for instance, they're still able to drive, but maybe when they get to the location, they use a mobility scooter or their friend or relative, whatever it might be, and they need to hoist that into the back of their vehicle. Again, we can provide a hoist assessment, advice and guidance about the most appropriate type of hoist, the correct fitting for their vehicle, and again, we can fit that within the workshop. So again, end to end in terms of that particular element. So if someone is given the unfortunate news that they're not able to continue to drive safely, that can be a really challenging situation, as I said, because of the nature of Cornwall. So there's different referral routes. We run a hubs project at the moment, which is supported by the Department for Transport, focusing on sort of the loneliness agenda, isolation, and public transport solutions that may be available for those individuals. So the individual...
That's another thing, is a public transport down here. It's not 10 minutes on the bus. It's I've just gone all around the place. You could be on the bus for an hour.
We'll go there on a Wednesday and come back on a Friday. So our hubs officer will work with that individual to look at their local community, to look at what that individual wants to try and achieve in terms of maintaining their independence, and can provide some really practical solutions in terms of how that person can continue with that level of independence. So that's a really valuable project. And again, that's replicated across the country. It keeps people out
of care homes and
Absolutely.
Added stress on the NHS, which they can't even cope with at the moment. So the more you can keep people at home, independent living, it's beneficial all around, really, isn't it?
The alternative may well be a scooter, because some people who can no longer drive a car safely, may be able to continue to drive a scooter safely. So again, that's another route that the hubs officer may identify, or the driving team may identify, and they can be referred then into our mobility team. And our mobility team will undertake the assessment, whether it's a scooter, a manual wheelchair, a powered wheelchair, whatever the solution may be. They'll undertake the assessment. Again, there's a cognitive element, there's a visual element, there's an on-the-road drive element, just to make sure that individual is safe. And everyone else around them is and everyone else. And then we give them the report. And then if they wish to purchase one of those vehicles, either, as I said, the manual chair, power chair, or mobility scooter, we can also provide that, because we have a sales element within our charity as well. And on top of that, we do specialist seating and rise recliners, bathing aids, wheeled
so someone
walkers.
comes out of hospital and they need you to provide all that.
Absolutely.
So is it rental? Do they rent it off you? Or?
We don't do any rental. We don't do any hire. We did used to do hire a long time ago, but it's quite challenging in terms of having enough stock on site to be able to facilitate people's hire needs, and then also the whole regime around cleaning it when it becomes returned and maintaining it, and so on and so forth. So we don't provide hire, but if anybody contacts us looking for hire, we've got organisations that we signpost to. The final element that we provide is our beach wheelchair service. So people will see the beach wheelchairs out on the Cornish beaches from Easter through to sort of end of September. So we own those chairs, we look after them during the winter and store them. We undertake a pre-season check. We then put them out onto the beaches in partnership with local operators, following a risk assessment that we undertake. And then those chairs are available for free. So people who are disabled or maybe elderly and infirm can't get onto the
Get on
beach, they can get into the chair and be propelled onto the beach and enjoy that environment along with everybody else.
Yeah.
And then we pick them up at the end of the season and make sure they're all okay to go into storage, and that gets repeated on an annual basis.
Yeah.
So that's a fantastic service. But as you may imagine, it costs money. Yeah. And we are really grateful to some of the donations we receive from people who use that service. Yeah. But it doesn't cover the cost of the service, as you may imagine.
Yeah. Because especially since COVID, everything's got to be, do you know what I mean, really clean, deep cleaned and everything else, do you know what I mean? Cause,
And we completely rely on our local operators to support us with that. And I mean, it could be a surf school, it could be a beachside shop, whatever it might be that's in that locality. Yeah. We work with them and they actually look after the chair for us for the summer period, and we'll clean it and report to us if there's any issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah. No, so, I think that is a really good, because that is one you don't realise. Do you know what I mean? Unless you know somebody who's disabled, or do you know what I mean? You don't realise the implications or the things they aren't able to do because of the disability. You don't realise it because you don't come across it, do you?
Well, I think for me it's interesting,
especially for a beach holiday.
I mean, you indicated that you hadn't heard of Cornwall Mobility, and
I know of what you do, but not the name, because obviously my mum's used you in the past.
Yeah, but... absolutely. And for people that don't require our services, I'm not surprised that they haven't heard about us, because. I don't think there's many people would just voluntarily come and have a look around our independent living showroom just to see if there's something that they're if they're interested in. Most of the people that come and visit us are in the system and have been referred to us by, as I said, a health professional or an OT or their physiotherapist that is working with them, or as you say, the hospital. But we also get a lot of repeat visits. A lot of very, very loyal clients that come back to us time and time again.
Yeah, which just, it shows you're doing a good job then, doesn't it, if people come back.
And as I said, in terms of referral routes, anybody within the health community can refer to us, and it's free of charge to the client. There's no charge to the client for the assessment, because we use the funding that we get from the DFT to partially cover that. The DVLA, we have an agreement in place with them whereby they provide some additional funding if you're referred by the DVLA. And we also have a scheme in place with the Devon and Cornwall Police, whereby if you are an individual that fits into a certain category and you've undertaken there's been a particular incident on the road, I think he's driving without due care and attention, I think it is.
You'll get referred.
You've got a choice. You can either go to the magistrate's court, or you can come to us for a driving assessment. So that choice is given to that individual. And again, we get a number of referrals via that route. And again, we assess them to ascertain whether or not they're safe to continue driving. Yeah.
So you've got loads of little arms.
Yeah.
Like little octopus,
well, as you know, having done our accounts. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you know what I mean? Is it more funding you need, or do you know what I mean? Because I know do you know what I mean? Every charity at the moment is really, really struggling, because the first thing that people stop giving to is charities when times are tough.
Yeah.
And it's difficult decisions for everybody as to, do you know what I mean, who they support and why they support it. And I know getting your name out there is do you know what I mean, will help.
Absolutely.
What is it is there anything in particular you need? Is there anything, more support, more donation? Well, donations always.
Donations always.
Yeah.
We have got a significant number of referrals at the moment, but that's due to the fact, as I said, we are really challenged around being able to get an appropriate number of clinicians employed in the organisation.
And staff. Donations and staff, really.
Donations and clinicians. Absolutely. Because if we have the clinicians in place, we've got a fantastic group of staff. We employ about 25 people across the 3 sites. The majority are based at Truro because of the additional range of services we offer. And if we have those clinicians in place to work with our, really experienced ADIs, we will deliver a level of referrals that will result in a level of income that certainly will help us to be sustainable into the future. The challenge is, at that moment, we can't deliver an adequate number of referrals because of the lack of those clinicians.
Yeah.
But we're looking to collaborate with any organisation that feels they've got alignment with us. Yeah. We work with the Disability Alliance, which is a collection of charities that support people with disabilities in different ways. Yeah. Through them, we were able to access a sizable grant from the Comp Fund, which was overseen by Cornwall Council. And we're about to buy a whole fleet of new beach wheelchairs, which will go out onto the beaches this summer. So those types of relationships and that method of collaborative working is something that we're really interested in, because I can't remember exactly what the saying is, but it's the sum of the parts is greater than the value of the whole, or something. But you know what I mean. Along those lines, you get those like-minded organisations working together. Yeah. You can bring real value. Yeah. So if there are any organisations who feel that they are or have alignment with us, it would be great to connect with them. Yeah. Any health professionals that feel that they would like to start making referrals to us, again, we'd love to speak with them and explain how easy the process is. And anybody else who thinks that they can benefit from our services, come along and see us, and we can demonstrate what we can do, and hopefully we can provide some help and some assistance.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in today.
No, really appreciate it. It's great to talk to you. Yeah,
my pleasure. So if you can help Cornwall Mobility, obviously donations are always welcome with charities, or somebody who needs a job in their right department, then get in touch. That you can find them. They drop me most of the social media sites, or Google them, you'll find them. If not, get in touch with me and I'll put you in touch. So that's me for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.